Today's story is Touch Her Again and You're Dead. The Mafia boss warned after seeing her superior touch her. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Before today's story begins, please take a moment to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Your support gives us the opportunity to keep creating meaningful and emotional stories for you. We are truly grateful that you chose to spend your time here today. Let us know in the comments where you are watching from. Thank you for joining us. Now, let's begin today's story. Take your hand off me. Maya Bennett barely raised her voice. She didn't need to. There was something in the way she said it that made the narrow service corridor feel colder than it already was. Behind the heavy steel door at her back, the Callahan Grand Hotel glittered beneath chandeliers and candlelight. A string quartet played for politicians, investors, celebrities, and men who wore watches worth more than Maya earned in 2 years. On this side of the door, there was only fluorescent light, the faint smell of bleach, a cart stacked with folded towels, and Derek Walsh's hand around Maya's wrist. He smiled. Not warmly, not kindly. The smile of a man who believed consequences belonged to other people. You've been avoiding me all evening, Derek said. I've been doing my job. Maya pulled once. His grip tightened. Pain climbed up her arm. She stopped moving. Derek was the housekeeping supervisor. He controlled schedules, overtime, evaluations, and disciplinary reports. He knew which employees were desperate for extra shifts. He knew who had children, who had medical bills, who couldn't afford to lose a single paycheck. And he knew Maya's situation better than most. Her daughter, Lily, was 6. Her father's heart medication had gone up again last month. Rent was due in 5 days. Derek knew all of it because men like him listened carefully when information could become leverage. You should be more cooperative, he whispered. Maya's eyes lifted to his. Steady. Let me go. He leaned closer. Or what? A shoe struck marble somewhere behind him. One sound. Then silence. Derek turned. At the far end of the corridor stood Vincent Callahan. He wore a black tuxedo beneath a charcoal overcoat, his expression unreadable, his hands relaxed at his sides. That calm was what frightened people most. Vincent Callahan did not need to shout. Chicago had spent years learning what happened after his voice became quiet. His gaze moved from Derek's face, to Derek's hand, to the red marks forming around Maya's wrist. Then his jaw tightened. Touch her again, and you're dead. Derek released her instantly. The hallway seemed to lose all air. Mr. Callahan, I can explain. Vincent walked forward. Slowly. Every step measured. I didn't ask for an explanation. 2 security men appeared near the ballroom entrance. Vincent never looked away from Derek. Take him downstairs. Derek's face collapsed. Sir, please. No, the word came from Maya. Everyone turned. Vincent looked at her for the first time. Not at her uniform. Not at the housekeeping cart. At her. Maya's wrist throbbed, but she reached into her apron pocket and wrapped her fingers around the little black notebook she had carried for more than a month. Vincent's eyes narrowed. Maya, he said, recognizing her name from the employee badge pinned above her heart. He just put his hands on you. I know. Then why are you stopping me? She pulled out the notebook. 37 days of dates, times, incidents, and 7 women's names. Derek saw it. For the first time that night, his arrogance disappeared. Maya looked directly at Vincent. If you fire him tonight, he becomes one bad man who crossed the wrong person. She placed the notebook into Vincent's hand. But he isn't the whole problem. Vincent opened it. His face changed. Maya's voice dropped almost to a whisper. Before you punish him, find out why 7 women asked for help before me. She held his gaze. And nobody listened. 6 weeks earlier, Maya Bennett had learned that desperation had a sound. It was the alarm vibrating at 4:45 every morning. It was the refrigerator humming around shelves that were almost empty. It was her father quietly cutting his heart pills in half because he thought she hadn't noticed how much the prescription cost. And sometimes, desperation sounded like her 6-year-old daughter, asking a question Maya couldn't answer. Mommy, will you be home tonight? Maya stopped beside the apartment door, one hand wrapped around her housekeeping shoes. Lily stood in the hallway wearing pink pajamas, her curls flattened on one side from sleep. I'm going to try, baby. You said that yesterday. The words were innocent. That made them hurt more. Maya crouched and kissed her forehead. I know. Her father, Samuel, appeared behind Lily and gave Maya the look parents gave their children when they wanted to help but no longer had the strength. Go, he said softly. I've got her. By 6:10, Maya was inside the Callahan Grand. Everything there gleamed. Marble floors reflected chandeliers. Fresh white lilies stood in silver vases. Guests walked through the lobby carrying leather luggage that cost more than Maya's monthly rent. She pushed her cleaning cart toward the employee elevator. Maya, Derek Walsh, stood beside the housekeeping desk. Clipboard. Pressed shirt. Perfect smile. Suite 1608 needs to be redone. Maya stopped. I finished 1608 20 minutes ago. The guest complained. About what? Derek looked at his clipboard. Dust. Maya knew there hadn't been dust. She also knew arguing could cost her the overtime shift she needed Saturday. I'll take care of it. Derek smiled. That's why I like you. Cooperative. The word followed her into the elevator. Over the next 2 weeks, small things began happening. Her schedule changed without warning. Her lunch breaks disappeared beneath staffing emergencies. Derek started appearing on floors he rarely supervised. Then came the questions. Your daughter's father doesn't help? No, your dad lives with you? Yes. Medical problems? Maya stopped folding a towel. Why are you asking? Derek smiled. Just getting to know my staff. But he wasn't. He was learning where the cracks were. Maya understood that 3 days later. She found Gloria Harris crying inside a supply closet. At 57, Gloria had worked at the hotel for 11 years. Maya had never seen her cry. What happened? Gloria wiped her face quickly. Nothing. Gloria. The older woman looked toward the door. Derek cut my weekend. Shifts. Why? I told him I wouldn't meet him after work. Silence. Maya felt something cold settle in her stomach. Did you report him? Gloria laughed once. There was no humor in it. To who? That evening, another housekeeper, Rachel Cooper, was publicly accused of stealing tips from a guest room. Rachel denied it. Derek wrote the disciplinary report anyway. 1 week later, Rachel's name disappeared from the schedule. Maya asked where she'd gone. Nobody answered. That night, after Lily was asleep and Samuel had gone to bed, Maya sat alone at the kitchen table. Rent notices rested beside an unopened pharmacy bill. She could quit. For nearly 10 minutes, she stared at her phone, imagining the relief of never seeing Derek again. Then she imagined Gloria, Rachel, and whoever came next. Maya reached into a kitchen drawer and removed a small black notebook. On the first page she wrote, Rachel Cooper. Below it, Gloria Harris. Dates followed. Times. Shift changes. Warnings. Everything she could remember. She closed the notebook and held it against her palm. Maya still needed the job. She was still afraid. But fear had changed shape. Derek believed her desperation made her powerless. He didn't yet understand that the woman he expected to silence had started keeping records. By the 4th week, Maya Bennett had learned something dangerous about Derek Walsh. He never punished women immediately. Immediate cruelty left witnesses. Derek preferred patience. A rejected invitation on Monday became a lost weekend shift on Thursday. A complaint became a poor evaluation 2 weeks later. By then, cause and consequence were far enough apart for management to call it coincidence. Maya stopped believing in coincidences. Her black notebook followed her everywhere. March 14th, Nicole transferred after complaint. March 18th, Gloria denied overtime. March 21st, Tasha threatened during probation. Then another name. And another. 7 women. Some still worked at the Callahan Grand. Others had vanished so quietly that newer employees didn't know they had existed. Maya wanted to know why. She found Gloria folding sheets in the laundry room one afternoon. Who handles complaints against? Supervisors. Gloria's hand stopped. Maya, just tell me. Human resources. And after that, Gloria looked toward the door before lowering her voice. Usually nothing. Maya felt the answer settle inside her. Did you file one? Gloria didn't speak. Gloria, 2 years ago. What happened? The older woman resumed folding, but her fingers trembled. They told me there wasn't enough evidence. 3 weeks later, Derek wrote me up twice. I had my grandson living with me. I couldn't risk a third. Maya stared at her. So you stopped. I survived. There was no shame in Gloria's voice. Only exhaustion. That evening, Maya began searching for women who had left. Rachel Cooper answered on the 3rd call. At first, she refused to talk. Then Maya mentioned Derek. Silence filled the line. He told everyone I stole. Rachel finally whispered. Did you? No, Maya closed her eyes. What happened before the accusation? Another silence. Longer this time. I told him not to touch me. Maya's grip tightened around the phone. The pattern was no longer suspicion. It was architecture. Someone had built this. The next morning, Derek was waiting beside her cleaning cart. "You've been busy." Maya kept arranging towels. "I work here. I hear you've been calling former employees." Her hand stopped for half a second. That was enough. Derek smiled. "You should be careful about believing bitter women." Maya turned toward him. "Why?" "Because accusations have consequences." "For who?" The smile disappeared. He stepped closer. "For whoever can't prove them." Then he walked away. Maya stood perfectly still until the elevator doors closed behind him. Only then did she breathe. That afternoon, her locker was open. Nothing appeared stolen. Her purse remained inside. Her wallet. Her phone charger. The black notebook lay exactly where she'd hidden it beneath a spare uniform. Almost exactly. Maya opened it. On the final blank page, 4 words had been written in blue ink. "Stop asking questions, Maya." Her heartbeat became painfully loud. Someone had entered her locker. Someone had found the notebook. Someone knew. For one terrible moment, Maya imagined Lily waiting at home. Her father's. Medication. Rent. Everything she could lose. She could tear out the pages. She could resign. She could survive exactly the way Gloria had. Then Maya photographed every page with her phone. She emailed the photographs to an account Derek didn't know existed. After that, she slipped the notebook back into her apron. At the end of her shift, she walked through the service corridors differently. Not fearless. Fearless people were careless. Maya was afraid. But now she understood that Derek was afraid too. And frightened men who believed they were losing control made mistakes. At the far end of the hallway, Derek watched her disappear into the elevator. His expression was no longer amused. The next morning, Maya's name appeared on the schedule for the hotel's largest gala of the year. Her assigned section was unusual, the grand ballroom, and beside it was one narrow service corridor with no camera. Maya stared at the assignment, then at Derek's signature beneath it. Whatever game he had been playing was about to change. "Please don't fire him." For the first time that night, Vincent Callahan looked genuinely surprised. The words hung between them in the narrow service corridor while music drifted through the ballroom doors behind him. Derek Walsh stood several feet away between 2 security guards, his confidence stripped from his face. Maya Bennett's wrist was still red where his fingers had been. Vincent looked at it, then at her. "You want me to let him stay? I want you to wait." "Why?" Maya reached into her apron and removed the black notebook. "Because if you fire him tonight, everyone will remember what you saw." She held it toward him. "I need you to find out what nobody saw." Vincent took the notebook. 37 days of notes. 7 names. Dates. Shift changes. Complaints. Retaliation. His eyes slowed on Gloria Harris. Then Rachel Cooper. Then Tasha Reed. "What is this?" "Women who try to tell someone." Vincent looked up. "Tell someone what?" Maya glanced toward Derek. The man who had frightened women for years was now watching the notebook as if it were a loaded weapon. "Not here." Vincent's expression hardened. He turned toward security. "Take Walsh downstairs. Separate room. No phone. No visitors." "Mr. Callahan, she's lying." Vincent took one step toward him. Derek stopped. "Give me a reason," Vincent said quietly. "To forget she asked me to wait." No one spoke. Minutes later, Maya sat inside Vincent's private office overlooking Chicago. The room smelled of leather and cedar. Dark walnut covered the walls. Beyond floor-to-ceiling glass, the city glittered beneath them. Vincent placed the notebook on his desk. "Start at the beginning." So Maya did. Rachel had refused Derek's advances. Days later, she was accused of theft. Gloria had filed a complaint. Her overtime disappeared. Nicole Sanders complained about inappropriate messages. She was transferred to overnight laundry. Tasha had been threatened during probation. Vincent listened without interrupting. The more Maya spoke, the quieter he became. Finally, he asked, "Why didn't any of this reach me?" Maya held his gaze. "Why would it?" His brow tightened. "This is my hotel." "Exactly." The answer struck harder than she intended. Maya softened her voice, but not her meaning. "You're Vincent Callahan. People like Derek know how to behave when you're in the room." Silence. "People like me find out who they are after you leave." Vincent leaned back. For years, he had believed fear made his organization orderly. Now a housekeeper was showing him the blind spot inside that belief. "I can destroy Walsh tonight," he said. "I know." "Then what do you want?" "Proof." Maya pushed the notebook toward him. "Not revenge. Not a favor because you happened to see him touch me." I want to know where those complaints went. Vincent studied her. And if someone buried them? Then Derek isn't the only problem. That sentence changed the room. Vincent picked up his phone. Freeze every housekeeping personnel file, complaint, email, schedule change, and security record from the last 5 years. He listened. No deletions. Nobody gets warned. He ended the call. Maya exhaled slowly. Then Vincent turned to the final page. One name appeared repeatedly beside closed complaints. Charles Whitmore, Regional Operations Director. Vincent's oldest executive. A man who had stood beside him for 14 years. A man Vincent trusted with millions. His face became still. Maya noticed. You know him? Vincent closed the notebook. Yes. For the first time since entering the room, Maya saw something colder than anger in his eyes. Doubt. Because Derek Walsh might have been the hand hurting these women. But someone higher had spent years making sure nobody stopped him. 3 days after the gala, Derek Walsh stopped speaking to Maya Bennett. No warnings. No quiet threats. No smug smile when he passed her in the hallway. That silence frightened her more than anything he had said. At 9:12 Tuesday morning, Maya was replacing towels in Suite 2417 when her radio crackled. Ms. Bennett, report to security immediately. The room suddenly felt colder. When Maya entered the security office, 2 managers stood beside the hotel's security chief. A black velvet jewelry box rested on the table. What happened? A guest reported a diamond bracelet missing from Suite 2417. Maya stared at him. I cleaned that suite. We know. The security chief turned a monitor toward her. Footage showed Maya entering the room with her cart. You were the last employee inside before the guest reported it missing. I didn't take anything. We need to search your locker. Maya's pulse quickened. Then Derek's silence made sense. I want witnesses. One manager frowned. What? If you search my locker, Gloria Harris watches. Someone from Human Resources too. 20 minutes later, Maya unlocked the narrow metal door herself. Her purse was inside. Spare uniform. Shoes. Folded sweater. The security chief reached behind it. His hand stopped. When he pulled it out, diamonds caught the fluorescent light. Gloria covered her mouth. Maya couldn't move. The bracelet. For several seconds, the only sound was the buzzing overhead light. Then Maya noticed Derek standing beyond the doorway. His expression was perfectly neutral. That was when she knew. I didn't put that there. Maya, Gloria whispered. I did not steal it. Police arrived. Employees gathered beyond the glass wall while Maya answered questions. She could feel their eyes. Some sympathetic. Some suspicious. Others relieved it wasn't them. Humiliation didn't always require laughter. Sometimes it was people refusing to meet your eyes. Then the door opened. Vincent Callahan walked in. His gaze moved from Maya to the bracelet. What happened? The security chief explained. Vincent listened, then looked at Maya. I'll handle this. She understood exactly what he meant. One command from Vincent, and the accusation could disappear. No, his eyes narrowed. Maya, if you make this go away, everyone will think I survived because you protected me. You're innocent. I know. So do I. But they don't. She looked through the glass at her coworkers. I don't need this erased. I need it proven false. Vincent became still. Maya stepped closer. If your power makes the accusation disappear, Derek still wins. That sentence stopped him. Instead of calling anyone to bury the problem, Vincent turned toward security. Preserve everything. Cameras. Access logs. Key cards. No files get touched. Hours later, a technician found the first crack. The camera outside the employee locker room had gone dark for exactly 11 minutes that morning. Not malfunctioned. Disabled. Who can do that? Vincent asked. Senior Security and Executive Operations. Walsh. No, the technician opened the access record. One credential appeared. Charles Whitmore. Vincent stared at the screen. 14 years. Whitmore had stood beside him through lawsuits, acquisitions, betrayals, even bloodshed. And his name had already appeared beside several buried complaints in Maya's notebook. Now his credentials were connected to planted evidence. Vincent's face hardened. Find Whitmore. The technician hesitated. Sir, he left the building 40 minutes ago. Vincent looked toward the dark monitor. For the first time, the shape of the truth became visible. Derek had targeted women, but someone above him had protected the silence. And now that Maya had forced that silence open, they weren't merely trying to fire her. They were trying to destroy her credibility before she could make anyone listen. Vincent Callahan had built his empire on one rule. If something carried his name, he controlled it. At 1:17 in the morning, he discovered how wrong he had been. The Callahan Grand was nearly silent. Below his office windows, Chicago glittered beneath a black sky, while across his desk lay years of personnel files, archived complaints, internal emails, and security reports. Maya Bennett's little black notebook rested in the center. 7 women, 5 formal complaints, for quietly closed investigations. 3 employees disciplined shortly after speaking up, and 1 name appearing again and again. Charles Whitmore, Vincent's regional operations director, his friend of 14 years. Marcus Hale, Vincent's security chief, placed another folder on the desk. You need to see this. Vincent opened it. 8 years earlier, after a damaging lawsuit threatened the hotel group, executives had created a policy allowing sensitive employee allegations to be routed through senior operations before external escalation. Protect the brand. Control reputational damage. Keep internal matters internal. Vincent remembered the meeting. He remembered the lawyers. He even remembered the pen in his hand. Then he reached the final page. His signature stared back at him. Vincent Callahan. The room became painfully quiet. Whitmore used this, Marcus said. Complaints went to his office. He classified them as unresolved personnel disputes. Vincent did not answer. He abused your policy. Vincent finally looked up. My policy. You couldn't have known. No, his voice was low. But I signed it. For years, Vincent had believed responsibility belonged to whoever pulled the trigger. Now he was staring at damage caused by something far less dramatic. A signature. A blind spot. A system powerful men had designed without considering who might become powerless inside it. Bring Maya. 20 minutes later, she entered his office. She looked exhausted, but her back remained straight. Vincent slid the policy toward her. Maya read silently. Her eyes reached the signature, then stopped. You approve this? Yes. She looked at him. I didn't know what Whitmore was doing. Maya held his gaze. I believe you. Vincent hadn't expected mercy. Then she added quietly. But those women were still hurt. The words landed harder than anger. Vincent looked away toward the city. Men had begged him for forgiveness. Enemies had blamed him for things he had done without regret. But this was different. He had not intended the harm. That did not erase it. You're right, he said. Maya went still. Powerful men often apologized by explaining why they shouldn't have to. Vincent offered no explanation. Marcus placed another report down. We confirmed Whitmore's credentials disabled the locker room camera when the bracelet was planted. Can you connect Derek to him? Maya asked. Not yet. Vincent reached for his phone. I'll bring Whitmore in. Don't. His hand stopped. Maya stepped toward the desk. If he knows you found this, he'll start destroying evidence. They tried to frame you, and they think it worked. Vincent studied her. She was afraid. He could see it in the tension around her eyes. But courage, he realized, was not the absence of fear. It was deciding something mattered more. What do you suggest? Let Derek think I'm suspended. And Whitmore, let him believe you're still trusting him. Marcus frowned. You want them comfortable. Maya shook her head. No, her eyes settled on Vincent. I want them careless. For the first time, a faint trace of respect crossed Vincent's face. He lowered the phone. Whitmore comes to work tomorrow. Marcus nodded. And Derek? Vincent looked at Maya. Derek believes he won. Outside, the first gray light of dawn touched Chicago. For decades, Vincent Callahan had taught men to fear his anger. Maya Bennett was teaching him something more difficult. Sometimes justice did not begin when the powerful man struck back. Sometimes it began when he stayed quiet long enough for the truth to expose itself. At 10 the next morning, Charles Whitmore walked into the Callahan Grand as though 14 years of loyalty could protect him from the truth. Derek Walsh arrived 20 minutes later. Neither man knew Vincent Callahan was waiting. At exactly 2, the executive boardroom doors closed. Whitmore sat near Vincent, wearing the calm expression of a man accustomed to being trusted. Derek sat farther down the polished table, restless but confident. Then the door opened. Maya Bennett walked in. Derek smiled. So the thief gets a hearing now? Vincent said nothing. Maya crossed the room and placed her black notebook on the table. The door opened again. Gloria Harris entered. Derek's smile faded. Then came Tasha Reed, Nicole Sanders, Rachel Cooper. 3 more women followed. 7 in total. Some wore hotel uniforms. Others had not entered the building in years. Whitmore shifted in his chair. Vincent, what exactly is this? Vincent's eyes remained on Derek. Something that should have happened a long time ago. Rachel spoke first. She described refusing Derek's advances, then the accusation of theft, then losing her job. Gloria described filing a complaint and watching her overtime disappear. Nicole placed printed screenshots on the table. Tasha's voice shook when she described Derek telling her she needed to prove she was worth keeping. Derek laughed nervously. They've coordinated this. Maya looked at him. No, she opened the notebook. We remembered. Vincent pressed a button. A recording played through the boardroom speakers. Derek's voice filled the room. You should convince me you're worth keeping. Nobody moved. Derek's face drained of color. Whitmore stood. This meeting is over. Sit down. Vincent never raised his voice. Whitmore slowly returned to his chair. Marcus Hale placed a security report on the table. The camera outside Ms. Bennett's locker room was manually disabled for 11 minutes. Whitmore folded his arms. That proves nothing. The credential used belonged to you. Credentials can be compromised. Vincent nodded. They can. For 1 second, Whitmore relaxed. Then Marcus displayed another record. Your key card entered the security control room 4 minutes before the camera went offline. Whitmore stared at the screen. Derek turned toward him. Fear replaced arrogance. Vincent noticed. So did Maya. Then Derek made the mistake they had been waiting for. You said nobody would check the access logs. Silence. Whitmore snapped toward him. Shut your mouth. The room froze. Derek realized too late what he had admitted. Vincent leaned back. Keep talking. Marcus. Change the screen. Emails appeared. Complaint numbers. Instructions to close cases. Orders to alter schedules. Then one message sent from Whitmore to Derek 2 days before Maya was accused of stealing. Solve the Bennett problem before it reaches Callahan. Maya stared at the words. For weeks, she had carried fear home with her. Into Lily's bedroom. To her father's medicine cabinet. To the kitchen table where unpaid bills waited. Now that fear belonged to someone else. Whitmore looked at Vincent. You know how these things work. I protected your name. Vincent's expression changed. My name. I kept scandals away from you. No. Vincent glanced toward the 7 women. You kept people away from me. Whitmore opened his mouth. Vincent lifted one hand. Enough. Then he looked at Maya. This room has spent years listening to men explain why these women should not be believed. He turned toward the others. Today, nobody interrupts them. And one by one, they spoke. No shouting. No revenge. No violence. Just 7 voices finally being heard. Derek stared at the table. Whitmore stared at the evidence. And Vincent remained silent. Because he finally understood that justice did not always sound like a powerful man making threats. Sometimes it sounded like frightened women discovering they no longer had to whisper. By sunset, everyone at the Callahan Grand knew Derek Walsh had been escorted from the building. What they did not know was that Vincent Callahan had refused to let justice end with one guilty man. Charles Whitmore sat alone at the boardroom table after the 7 women had finished speaking. The city burned orange beyond the windows, throwing long shadows across the polished wood. His expensive suit was still immaculate. His reputation was not. You're destroying 14 years over the word of housekeepers, Whitmore said. Vincent remained standing. No, his voice was quiet. You destroyed 14 years because you believed being a housekeeper made their words worth less than yours. Whitmore glanced toward Maya Bennett. Something bitter entered his expression. This started because of her. Maya did not look away. No, she said. It started because women were afraid before I ever worked here. The room went silent. Vincent looked at Marcus Hale. Call the authorities. Whitmore's chair scraped backward. Vincent, for the first time, fear entered his voice. You know what an investigation will do to this company. I do. The lawsuits alone could cost millions. Vincent's expression never changed. And silence already cost people years of their lives. Whitmore had no answer. Minutes later, he was escorted downstairs. Vincent could have hidden everything. His attorneys told him so that evening. The hotel could dismiss Derek, terminate Whitmore quietly, compensate the women privately, and issue a carefully worded statement about internal restructuring. It would be cleaner, safer, cheaper. Vincent refused. Every complaint handled under Whitmore's authority was reopened. Former employees were contacted. Independent investigators were brought in. The policy carrying Vincent's signature was abolished. And when his legal team prepared a statement blaming Whitmore entirely, Vincent crossed out half the page. "What are you doing?" his attorney asked. "Correcting it." He rewrote the final paragraph himself. The statement acknowledged that Vincent had approved a system designed to protect the company's reputation and failed to consider how that system could silence vulnerable employees. He did not excuse himself. He signed his name. Again. Only this time, the signature opened a door instead of closing one. 3 weeks later, Maya stood outside Vincent's office. The bruises on her wrist had disappeared. The consequences had not. Rachel had received a formal apology and compensation. Gloria's disciplinary records were cleared. Tasha had been offered protection against retaliation. Other employees had begun reporting incidents nobody had dared mention before. Vincent handed Maya a folder. "What is this?" "A job offer." She didn't open it. "I already have a job." "Not this one." "Employee Advocacy Director. Independent Reporting Authority. Direct access to ownership." Maya looked at the salary, then immediately closed the folder. "If this is because you feel guilty, it isn't. If it's compensation, it isn't. Then why me?" Vincent walked toward the window. For several seconds, he watched employees crossing the lobby far below. "Because I spent years believing power meant seeing everything." He turned toward her. "You proved I wasn't even looking in the right direction." Maya studied him carefully. "And if I disagree with you? I expect you to. If one of your executives is the problem, you investigate them. If you're the problem?" That stopped him. Vincent looked at her, then nodded. "Especially then." Maya finally opened the folder again. Something softened in her expression. Not gratitude. Trust had not grown that far yet, but perhaps the beginning of it. Vincent had protected Maya once in a hallway. Now he understood that real protection meant building a place where she would never need a powerful man standing behind her to be believed. And for the first time in his life, Vincent Callahan was learning that the strongest authority was not the power to frighten people into silence. It was the courage to make silence unnecessary. 3 months later, the Callahan Grand looked exactly the same from the outside. The same golden lights burned above the entrance. The same black cars stopped beneath the marble canopy. The same chandeliers glittered over guests who never wondered what happened beyond the doors marked staff only. But behind those doors, everything had changed. Maya Bennett sat in a small office on the second floor when someone knocked. 3 nervous taps. "Come in." A young black housekeeper named Jasmine Carter stepped inside. She couldn't have been older than 23. Her hands trembled. "Ms. Bennett, I need to report something." For a moment, Maya saw herself. The linen cart. The fluorescent hallway. Derek Walsh's fingers around her wrist. The fear of losing a paycheck when people depended on it. Then Maya saw the difference. Jasmine had a door to knock on. "Sit down," Maya said gently. Jasmine hesitated. "Will my supervisor know I came here?" "Not unless the investigation requires it." "Can he cut my hours?" "No." "Can I be fired?" "Not for telling the truth." Jasmine's shoulders dropped. Only slightly. But Maya recognized the weight. That had just left them. She listened. She took notes. And when Jasmine finished, Maya did something nobody had done for Gloria, Rachel, Nicole, Tasha, or the women before them. She believed her enough to investigate. An hour later, Maya stepped into the corridor. Vincent Callahan stood near the elevators. He wore the same dark suit, carried the same quiet authority, and still had the kind of presence that made conversations soften when he entered a room. But he didn't ask who had complained. He didn't demand a name. "Everything handled?" he asked. Maya nodded. "It will be." Vincent pressed the elevator button. 3 months earlier, he would have taken control. Now he waited. Maya smiled. "You didn't ask what happened. You'll tell me if I need to know. You're learning." A faint smile touched his face. "I had a difficult teacher." The elevator arrived, but neither stepped inside. There was warmth between them now. Not gratitude. Not obligation. Something quieter. Something earned. Maya glanced toward her office. Her old black notebook rested on a shelf. Vincent followed her eyes. "You kept it." "I did." "To remember Walsh?" "No," she looked at him. "To remember what happens when people believe nobody will listen." Vincent's expression softened. Derek and Whitmore were facing the consequences of their actions. The buried complaints had been reopened. Rachel's record had been cleared. Gloria now trained new employees. Tasha finally worked without checking every hallway behind her. None of it erased what happened. Justice rarely erased scars. It simply stopped someone else from receiving the same ones. Vincent looked toward Maya's office. I thought protecting you meant getting between you and Derek. That mattered. But it wasn't enough. No, what would have been enough? Maya considered the question. Building something that doesn't depend on you being there. The words landed quietly. Vincent nodded. Months ago, that answer might have wounded his pride. Now he understood it as success. The elevator doors began closing. Maya stopped them with one hand. Vincent, he looked back. Thank you. For protecting you? She shook her head. For listening when you discovered you were part of the problem. For once, Vincent had no clever response. He simply nodded. Then the elevator carried him away. Maya returned to her office. Another knock came 20 minutes later. This one was stronger. Come in. And as the door opened, Maya understood what had truly changed. Once, 7 frightened women had needed extraordinary courage just to speak. Now the 8th only needed a door that would open. Power had not given Maya her dignity. She had always possessed it. Vincent had simply learned that real power was not making people fear your name. It was making sure the powerless never had to fear using theirs. And that day, the world remembered what dignity looks like.